Hi everyone. Well, here we are at Chakra 2, and welcome to Your Best You. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Kat.
And I'm Joan Kasmarzik, your co-host. Welcome. Here we are, Chakra 2, orange. Go for it.
Joan sits in silence. As you see now, you know why I'm here. All right. Hey, listen, I brought my book, Under Thunder Mountain. This is my first book, and I'm working on the second part of the story. And it's on Kindle ebook. It's a couple of dollars. But if you want to get another different flavor of me, you can go check that out. My hope is eventually I want to create a foundation, Under Thunder Mountain Foundation, where I can provide support for individuals who are choosing alternative paths to healing, either to complement their healing or as their choice. So, kind of cool. Yeah, was just not doing well in the other show at all. So I brought him into this show. He was out yesterday and had so many outside adventures. His chakra 1 is exhausted. He grounded himself all to the point of exhaustion. So he's not generally as noisy. He'll sit in his little chair and have his little things, but he wanted to come up in the other show, and I just didn't know if he really wanted to, but he does. So here he is on camera. I like it when they want to come on camera, and you get to see the co-creative elements, our fur companions. Where would we be without our furs? So it's a good chakra 2 dose for you, especially if you don't have pets and you want them. But because of certain circumstances, you can't have them anymore. You can enjoy them visually. They're good friends.
We don't mind sharing on the TV.
So, Joan, you were going to talk about Chakra 2 a little bit with everyone. I know I'm always chatting, but I always try to open it up for Joan, and I do, and I'm opening it up again for Joan.
Well, we were talking about co-create or being creative and that sort of thing for Chakra 2. And you asked me to bring something out that is a creative outlet for me. I enjoy doing jigsaw puzzles. I find it very relaxing.
This is so pretty with the kittens.
Yeah.
I don't know if Joan's going to bring it up to the camera or not. But
I could try and, there we go. I can at least tilt it up so people can see it. And we are down to our last piece. And I'm going to leave that out because I'm going to say that for our viewers, you're the last piece of the puzzle. That's your special piece.
There you go. So you have a place in our puzzle system of love and light here with the kitty cats and the
we have
the
beautiful kitty
blue
cats.
jay feather, which I've done a show on.
Yep. And they're in a library and they're in with the books and they're just having a wonderful time together.
Okay, but what do you want to talk about Chakra 2 about this with Chakra 2?
Just that this, because I enjoy doing this.
Tell the audience.
It's a very creative and very relaxing outlet for me. Maybe some people, it wouldn't be. You've got to find what works for you, as far as creativity is concerned, or what fills that for you. Again, like I said, I enjoy this because it makes me use a different part of my brain, and I create a beautiful picture. So that's why I like it. That's why we brought it out. You're next.
I was listening. I'm always the one having to do the discourse.
The other thing that is the dog sledding that I did for so many years.
Yeah.
That's we were talking last show about keeping an open mind and learning. And I've always felt that there were never two runs with the dogs that were the same. Every time you took them out, you learned something new. You learned something new about yourself, or you learned something new about the dogs, something about the trail, but you had to keep your mind open because, again, you always learned something. There was always something different about the run. And I did that for over 20 years. And in 20 years of running dogs, there were never two runs that were the same.
So I think when I'm hearing Joan, and I'm hearing her, and she's saying you, I don't think that she means you. I think she means her. And so she receives a certain benefit, and she's learning how to speak and share that with you. It may not be something that you would learn from, but for Joan in her second chakra, she feels comfortable in that world. Although you haven't been doing the dog sledding for a long time, you've transferred that over into doing puzzles. And so when you think about what it is that I hear her saying is the flexibility of being able to change direction with a particular activity that might have brought you a great deal of pleasure, satisfaction, and growth. But due to certain circumstances in your life, you may have to kind of
change it up.
Okay, she's talking. There you go. Change it up, exactly. So just reflecting what Joan's saying is to be open enough, as she said, to take a look at, because that's a big leap to go from dog sledding to sitting and doing puzzles, right? Wouldn't one say so?
Yeah.
It is a huge leap, a totally different body parts and a totally different function. So you may not be able to do that big of a leap, and sometimes your life circumstances may cause you to do that big of a leap. But I think that, as I kind of try to encourage people to take the baby steps and do things slowly, if you see that you're having to change a direction, sometimes it's easier to see ahead of it and start to prepare a little bit, like lining up your ducks or whatever. We all have our tactics that we say, okay, I can see the possibility of something coming and I want to be as prepared. There's a storm coming. I'm going to make sure the attic's secured.
Right.
Things like that. It's the same thing in your own personal development. If you're coming to a place where, and look, we're getting bombarded with more than we've ever really been bombarded for. You can type in anything into the Google and get something. I'm not going to guarantee you ever, that this data that we're getting is true, accurate, or that it doesn't have an agenda behind it. And that's I think the world that we are coming into, that we've co-created. And once we create and co-create something, we have a certain responsibility to take a look at it and say, well, wait a second, we might need to tweak this. Okay, we don't want to be banning books and removing books. And to get to that place in a culture is just a replication of past co-creators whose works were all destroyed and then they're unearthed so many decades and generations later that it's all that time and knowledge lost to chaos and confusion. And who's the puppeteers of that? Shakespeare would say all the world is a play and we are merely players, but who's above the players? Well, take a look at some other demonstrations of that, and you begin to learn and open up to the fact that we are right now where we are in history, which is, wow, there's only a few chief players and they run the show. Yeah. And in order for us to make any kind of change, we have to sometimes do some things that are going to be radically different, which involves revolutionary protests and what gets the distraction away from internal protests for higher development. Oh, well, the world leaders go to war. We go to war. Why do we go to war? Because war unites our common people together. Now we're fighting against a common cause, and we're not worried about them trying to develop and not work for these pay and this stuff. And until you get to the place as a human being where you're able to see that, which is where we are now, our viewers are very smart people.
Yes,
I
they
know
are.
you're very smart people, see. And you come here to me because I probably give you a little bit of a plug-in place. Like any place else, I go to places and plug in for little things myself. We all do it, you know. And I'm glad that you want to come in and plug in here. You know, I think it's great that you want, and I have some viewers. I'm thrilled that there are a few people out there that are going, you know, whatever this lady's saying, it kind of, you know, is making some sense. And we've heard it before, but instead, I'm not coming to you and going, it's your fault. I'm saying, wow, man, we have an opportunity here now as a civilization to harness this and shift it in the direction that we, the people, want to go. And if we're aware that there is some controlling power, but if they put up the candy and you go, I want my candy, then they got you, man. You know that, okay? And you may already go to the point where, yeah, I already know I'm God. I'd rather just like eat, drink, and be merry, you know, build my pyramids, feel my ego, and then who knows what's after, you know. You know, so everybody's got their different way that they're in it. But, you know, clearly in Chakra 2, we are all in it. We're all here, and we're all co-creating together, and we're all energy. And everything that we do has an energetic impact on ourselves, on our vibrational frequency. Ourselves hear us. We create a tonality. We can be felt before we come into a room. There's all this, and then you put all of that in a room together, like a Monday morning at work in the office where nobody wants to really be there. And aren't you all so love and light to one another after you did your big thing, whatever you did to gain your great knowledge? So you get back down to ground level of 1, and the universe says, okay, you're all woke here, let's test that and see how you're doing with this. Okay? And what did the people do? Immediately turned on one another and created division and divide and hatred and another kind, but still the same. And the ones who are in power go, look at how easy that was. You know they're so easy. You know? Hey, let's make Reese's organic. Come on. Have a little cup. It won't hurt you, right? So until we get to that place where we're able to really enjoy what we're doing and find purpose in what we're doing and be at peace with what we're doing. And that's all within. So you go to the office, you come home, you're a wreck. You go sit at a puzzle, you put yourself back together again. It may be like that right now. Okay? Because it's been like that for a long time. And change, even though it may be instant in terms of awareness, when it has to be acted out, it can take a while. And it could try on, and it could, I didn't really like this. You know, I thought I was going to be able to do it, but I can't. You know, there's a lot of factors. And all that is part of the human being. And the people that are in these positions that look at the statistics and watch how people behave, and of course, Facebook has been just a perfect platform to garner everything about you. Everything. And we want more. Give us more. An Insta scam where they take you and they change it over and they make money off of you and they make believe you. This is all the world of the instrument that we co-created, but then we have to decide, how do we want to use it? Is it using us, or are we using the instrument? And we've gone to the time in history where the instruments are using us.
Yeah.
And we have artificial intelligence that's becoming wiser and smarter than any of us. So what separates us from this particular piece of technology is our emotional and our conscious intelligence. That is so uniquely individual. Okay? And if you give it over to a machine, the machine will take that. And it will create an individual artificial intelligent consciousness. And then we come to you and we go, what do we really need you for? You're messy. You require food, water, shelter. You don't last. You get sick. You die. It's so much easier to have this other. It doesn't even talk back, you know. but then the point where the machine can turn, you see. So we get to this co-creative space where we are right now in the year 2022. And we talk about some things other than what we've been talking about for the past 2 years. We get past that and we go, okay, what did I learn from this? And what am I going to take from this to help to implement change so that my children and my children's children don't have to go through this psychological and emotional and all of our soul being mess. And for me, in oftentimes of what you give to a culture, that is much more precious of a jewel than any money that you've built up or car that you drive or house that you have. Because in the greater consciousness of the universe, it's going to look at, okay,
Yeah, it's not gonna.
what role did you play in this?
Right, it's not gonna.
Because it doesn't care about the matter.
Doesn't care about how much money you made. Doesn't care what you're driving.
No.
What did you do?
Well, pretty much,
What
no,
did
who
you-
are you?
Who are you? What did you?
And how did you help in the
contribute?
development of
Yeah.
human beings?
Yeah, what did you do? To
I know we're
contribute to the
developing all this stuff and we're developing ways to get off of Earth. But, you know, what do we do with what we were given?
Yeah.
Kind of, we're destroying it. We have to have a 12-year-old girl, you know, stand up and speak against the whole system. It's not that others before haven't spoken. What happens in a co-creative culture is they decide whether or not they're going to accept what you're saying. So Rosa Parks spoke up on a bus. Okay, I'm going to sit down. Okay. But there were many before her who tried that. And the cultural collective wasn't willing to hear her and say, hey, yeah, she's what? And whatever fights or whatever happened, it would have been hung in the dark, in the night. Yeah. And this is, you know, how we've done things with anything. Women who are healers or people who are a different color or people who choose to do their health different. We demonize it, the other, and then that legitimizes our ability to hate it and scapegoat it and use it as an excuse for our co-creative activities. So co-creation, you know, is so vital for the human being and why we're here. Okay? Take a look at why you're here. Find out what's important. And always remember, don't lose yourself in it. You know, because we have like the sense of we have a divine mission or you have a purpose. You're supposed to be here. Okay. Well, it may be that you were just born to give birth to that. It was to give birth to that, and that's your whole purpose. It could be. I don't know. That's up to you and your maker that you co-created your existence with. And that can turn into a gnarly battle of religions and hate and division and more reasons for those who are in power to go look at them while we sit in our castles of goodness and jewels and they don't even have bread to eat, you see.
And yet they fight. Right?
Well, because they're goaded
Right.
and they're starved. And,
Exactly.
But then the same people that were hurt and injured, ironically, will twist around and turn around and in another culture do the exact same thing back. And then that's been hurt people, comes and turns around and twists it around and comes back and does it here. And that's what we've been doing. You know, it's like, can we get to a place where we can live without hate?
Yeah. That would be a beautiful thing.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
We made some kind of a contract choice.
Yeah.
And it all has to do with, you know, how we understand it. And every culture and religion has been trying to figure this out. And then they have the leaders that tell you, in order for you to be a monk, you must shave your head and go and you're like, okay, well, that's an affiliation. You don't have to do that.
Right.
But if that's your path and you feel that you need to be a monk in an affiliative, you could be a monk all by yourself and you don't have to shave your head. I mean, call it whatever you want to call it, but you can rise to whatever level of spiritual development and redevelopment as you continue to evolve. Or you can stop dead in your tracks, or you can go backwards. Or you can go, I'm dead, I'm going backwards, I'm coming forward. Start getting everybody dizzy, including yourself, and you may end up falling.
That's true.
Okay?
That's very true.
So, it's about this, as I'm always saying, balancing, taking things slowly, giving yourself enough space to create something without making it so big that you can't do it. And I think that the example that Joan gave is a great leap, because to go from a sled dog activity where you're out and about and you have all this, to now saying, well, I need to have something when I come out of the work to balance me out. And as I'm getting older, I can't have all the things that I had to do before. So I'm going to reprogram myself into finding what's going to work for me, so that I can gently shift out of whatever I am, so I can actually enjoy the next part of my day. And then I can go to sleep and wake up feeling good. And, because if you get into this cycle where you're working and you're sleeping and you're working and you're sleeping and you're working and you're sleeping and you're working and you're sleeping, you're not co-creating necessarily.
No.
You're working and you're sleeping, but, you want to find something, some kind of co-creative task. You'll know what it is because you'll find it. And at the moment you find it, you'll go, this works. And if it only works for a little while, who cares? It works for a little while.
That's right.
Be flexible enough to say, okay, now that worked. Let me see if I can try something else.
Sure.
Maybe even challenge yourself a little more.
Yeah.
Try it. And, all you can do is try. And I always say it's worth trying again. And, never give up kind of attitude, aren't I?
Definitely.
I'm one of those, I don't know, die-hard cat or whatever. But, I will, you come along in life, you make mistakes, you learn and you grow. And one of the things that I hope when you're making mistakes and learning and growing is that you understand that you're fallible and time is limited. And what we do with it can't be replaced. So woulda, coulda, shouldas, don't take you far.
Right.
And that's why being in the now is more popular than ever.
Right.
But practicing it becomes this burden for people. And it's like, oh my God, I have to sit for 3 minutes and do an affirmation? I don't think I could do that. That's 3 whole minutes of affirming myself? Oh man, can you believe that? It's crazy, right? But that's the, who is that? You know who that is? That's the saboteur. That's the one that's in the mind that keeps you kind of
under the thumb. Keeps you from going up.
You
Keeps
don't
you from
really
rising.
think that you can do that, do you? Don't you remember what they told you? Didn't you hear what that person said about you? See? And you go, no. No,
And that's hard to shut off.
You have to learn.
It's
a
very
practice.
hard to shut off.
And it is a building up of your chakras. And I can laugh now because I'm in the seat of where I got to. But, I'm here for all of you, and hopefully I'll be able to open up some kind of platform where we can exchange and talk. But I do hope that you're getting some things from the show, and mostly a couple of laughs too, because laughter is the best soul
for
healing yourself. And
they've always said laughter is the best medicine.
well, it changes. Okay, here's the experiment I did, and I told Joan the other day this. It changes the inside. Okay. Even what we see visually, it can change how we respond. If we see something that gives us a good feeling, we have a good feeling inside. And all of those little proprioceptors and all the little cellular microbial beings, they hear that, receive that. They're alive inside of us. That's 27 feet of, intestine, 27 feet. I don't care how thin it is. It's 27 feet of life that moves, life, food that we digest like an oven. It's all dead food. And this eats it like a garden full of worms. That's all inside of us. And that's all alive. And when we kill that, what we end up doing is we kill our ability to regenerate and rejuvenate and have our immune system and rebuild ourselves. Within us, we have that capacity. Within all life is an ongoing living, dying process. Cells are dying and renewing continuously. What happens as we grow older, I don't know why it's still happening, but the food that we're eating and the way that we're doing it, it's like, when are we going to learn? If you keep eating this stupid, dead, bad food, the things that are inside of you that might have been there, probably not, they're getting less and less as generations pass, because the women who are having babies, they're not necessarily the picture of health, and they're starving themselves and killing every ounce of everything inside of them so that they can be snatched and skinny as a bee, so that they can be accepted and hot in the society. I like, save us. But, and then the baby's born out of that. Now, how much, what I'm saying? It's a far, far, far cry from the earth. And it could be that, we're building up a generation of, space kids, because, we're going to destroy this here. And everybody's going to have to be living out in bubbles in the universe. And what do you get to see? You look out the window, what do you see? Oh, look at that. It's black.
It's black.
There's some white dots there. Isn't this cool? Can't wait to go. Everybody on the train. Look, really think about it. We're here. Chakra 1 and 2. We did 1 before. We're in 2. We're going to 3. That's food, right? What am I talking about? Filling ourselves with the right kind of food, because it's going to change the physiology and the chemistry inside of our body, which then enlivens all of our organs, opens up our brain, and suddenly we're not the same person anymore.
Yep, this is very true.
And it's not because you've taken a happy drug. It's just because your cells are suddenly awake and alive, and you're not part of a walking zombie anymore. All right, I love you guys. Thanks, John, for bringing the puzzle on. I told her I want her to cover them up and then I could hold it up, but she won't do that yet. So, you put the glass thing over so it's all solid. But then she did say you're the last piece in the puzzle, so we love you very much, and we hope to see you soon.
Definitely. Come join us for Chakra 3.
See you soon. Love you guys.
Bye.
Blessings. Mwah. Ruby says bye too.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.